Hi, welcome to Primal Training Podcast. This is our very first episode, and I am super excited to introduce to you today's guest. For my first episode, I couldn't think of any other person to bring on than my very good friend Amean. We went to college together. We have seen each other evolve enormously in the past years. And one of the things that makes us kind of stick together and want to do things together is we both share a similar path in some way. We've been focusing a lot on self-development in the last years, reading similar books, watching similar movies, and one of the other things is that we come from both from different backgrounds. So some of you know, I was in finance and I decided to pursue my passion and go into personal development, personal training, health in general. And my friend Amean, he comes from software development, and now he's focusing on music. So he's a musician, a singer, and all around like entrepreneur, and I like to call him jack of all trades. He does everything, and he's seen a lot of things in the past years. So I hope you enjoy this conversation that we're going to be having. We're going to be talking about spirituality, psychology, nutrition, music, fitness, a lot of things. And we really went into a really deep cave. So I really hope you enjoy this, and take care.
Want to do it?
Yeah, let's get started. Okay.
Yep.
Thanks for coming. I know it's a Saturday, 9 a.m. You must be thinking like, what the hell are you doing here?
What the fuck are you making me doing, man?
Yeah, but that'd be man. I have so many things I want to talk to you about, and I'd love to share it with people, like crazy stories and so much inspiring stuff. Like really, man. You've done a lot of work on yourself lately the past years, and it really shows. And for me personally, you've been an inspiration for a lot of things that I did.
Stop it.
Stop. But more seriously, man. So the reason I'm having you here is that, as I was mentioning, you did a lot of work on you, personal development wise. You're an entrepreneur. You had your hand on many things, and so and also like when I say personal development, like in all areas. So you've been working on your mindset, your nutrition. Lately, this past month, we've been like training together, and you did a lot of progress. And
thanks to you, man. Primal training. Yeah.
And I wanna share with people your journey and hopefully get some insights and things, like really some practical knowledge people can use based on what you've been experiencing the past months and years since we met. So that's what it's all about.
It's been a hell of a year, man. All right. Oh well, that's not pressure at all. Fucking inspiration and shit. I'm allowed to swear, right? It's cool. Okay, cool.
2020.
It's fucking.
It's
been a hell of a year. Yeah. All right. Thanks, man, for having me. And the weather's great. And I just want to take a moment to appreciate like this moment and this wonderful. What is this again? Like coffee and.
So this is 100% homemade. I buy my coffee beans raw. I roast them. So I make everything by myself. I have some.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I have some like cacao, like raw too. Some cream.
You've been doing a lot of like things on your own, like this year, like harvesting kind of like vegetables. And, that's
I feel like the COVID thing is making me like. I just feel like you don't have a choice, right? You just wanna. I've been spending so much time home, and like I've always been like into this, like making my own thing, but then now I'm like I just do everything at home.
Excuses, never have the time, and like just gotta go work. Yeah, gotcha.
That's it.
All right. So yeah, it's been a special year for me. So special that I got it tatted on my on my chest. And people keep asking me like, why the fuck would you get such a terrible year on your body? And I'm like, usually I respond with the joke. It's like, yeah, it's the year I fully own being like a fuck boy, and I'm like, nah. There's obviously like a deeper meaning behind it. I think this year like kind of put a lot of things in perspective for me, and I'm not a fan of the idea of like, you know how those like some people, they try to put a good spin on the really, really terrible things that happen. So I'm not gonna be like, this year could be like the best year of your life, and it sucked, but you gotta find like that positive spin, like just work on yourself and do all this shit. But no, this year sucked, like terribly sucked. I exposed a lot of like dysfunctional shit that's going on in our society and in the world, really, like. And it's at some point, like you say, you don't really have a choice, but I don't want to say to make the best out of it, but kind of like it's either a life or death thing, but not, hopefully, like not literally, but like kind of like spiritually on your mind. It's either you're gonna suck it up and try to work on yourself and really make the best thing out of the worst that happens, or you're just gonna stay in your home, wear your fucking mask, and I'm not against masks, by the way. I'm not against, like, do whatever makes you feel good, but you could just like watch the media and have like that fear mongering, like just be afraid all day, or do something about it. And it's always been my mindset all these past years, but it's kind of like what you said earlier. You have those ideas, you have like those things that you want to do, and you kind of like do them, but like half-assed, because you're like, okay, I got my job, I got my things to do, I got my daily life. And this year is kind of like, no, you gotta do it 100%.
Yes, that's like
if you're not doing it 100%, it's gonna be 0%.
Yeah.
There's no in between. So,
that's like I feel like you have like this stoic mentality of like shit is happening, but like it's all about what you make of it. Like you're not. I don't think we have the power as individuals. I mean, maybe as a group. Like if all of us act and react to what's happening, we can have an impact on what's going on. But like just you by yourself, you can't change the world. You can either like fall in the anxiety and depression and stress of all what's going on, or you can just like, as you say, suck it up and
take a deep breath and just like, I think that's like the basics of stoicism is like, what can you control? What can you not control? What can you control? Put that separation, and the things that you can control, go all in on that, like fully on it. All in on that. And I've seen it with yourself too. Like this year, it's probably like the worst year to quit your job.
I know. I did it in the whole middle of the pandemic. I'm like, shit, I wanna
to pursue something that's being like that's currently forbidden by the government. Such a criminal, man. Trying to get people healthy. Wow.
I know.
But yeah, that's pretty much been my it's pretty much been the reason I got this tat. It was like just to remind me, hopefully if I make it to like 2021 and 2022, it's just like, there was like a crossroads, and this year kind of like made me take a particular path, and for the better, I hope.
You know what, I was thinking to call this podcast, at least this episode, break out of the matrix and become who the fuck you want to be, something like that. I haven't decided yet. Do you think it's a good description of what you like, what you embody, or what you do, or what you think of your experience?
I don't know, man. I haven't taken my red pills in the morning. But nah. I mean, I never really bought into the whole like mainstream media thing. Like since pretty much I was like 15 or 16, you know, like 2007, 8. I was pretty much always questioning things, but 2020 is like, this year I feel like things are more overt, that it's either you want to question everything and it's really gonna drive you crazy, but it's like work that you have to do, or just like fully accept what the media gives you because they're giving you an answer. And something with like the years that I've kind of like understood fundamentally about like human nature, me included, like I'm not saying I'm better than you and this is like the human nature kind of thing, but as I go around, like just walk around the city, or like just take the metro or whatever, like see people like in their daily life, and I'm sure I fell into that state, you fall into that state sometimes, but there's like 3 basic states that humans fall into, like kind of like on and off, and it's like being tired and being like, I want to say afraid. Like you don't know what is going on in the world, you don't know what's going on with your life, and you're just like trying to seek answers, but you just want to like someone to give you an answer, you know. That's why religion is like so popular, or like some culture, or like, so usually tired, you're afraid, depending on the people, you're horny, you know, like you want to have sex with people, you want to like feel touched, you want to feel loved. That's why people go to clubs, go to bar at the end of the week, you know. That's why Tinder is so popular, online dating. Like people want to have a partner, or like they want to feel that kind of connection with someone else.
And not just like romantic, like family-wise. Like people are not meeting their parents, their grandparents.
Yeah.
It's like
So I think those are like the 3 basic states that we operate kind of like on our daily life. So when you get something or someone that just gives you a straight answer, this is good, this is bad, this is what you should believe, this is what you should not believe, it's so easy because you're already tired with all the bullshit you have to deal with in your daily life. So you don't want to do like the research, you don't want to do homework, just give me an easy answer and comfort me, you know, like, because I'm afraid. I don't know what's going on, and to this day I still think we should have like a national day where we just like get together as a group and just fucking cry and hug each other and be like, we don't know what the fuck is going on, like what is life, why are we born, why do we die, like what is Earth, what is the universe, because we spend the whole day, our whole life, just doing things to forget about the fact that we don't know like what's going on.
That's interesting. You know what, I've been thinking about this, and I feel like, you know, we brought this to ourselves. We as a collective, we decided that we want our daddy up there to tell us what we need to do, what we shouldn't do, because as you're saying, it's so scary to think for yourself and make decisions for yourself, and we wanted this. So some people are like, oh, we're heading into like a totalitarian system, or we're gonna go into something that's scary. Maybe it's scary, but like, and I'm not saying that I prefer one system rather than the other, and I think that every system has its positives and negatives, and there's definitely positives to having a totalitarian system, because we don't have to deal with all the uncertainty and thinking of like difficult topics, and it's just like that's what you gotta do, and it's making us happy in some way. But it definitely has drawbacks, like any other system. Like if you go let's say in like live in a jungle, you're definitely gonna be free and do whatever the fuck you want to do. But then you're gonna be missing your daddy government that's giving you a paycheck when you don't have anything to put in your fridge on, or this system is protecting us, and that's what some people don't realize is they fantasize on like one system rather than the other, but it's all like nothing is perfect, and that's what I feel. I don't know if you share this this opinion.
I mean, I agree with some things you say. I disagree with some other things. I think the thing that we're missing the most right now is dialogue and like conversation. Like I said, like the mask thing. Like, for example, take that as an example. I've never been against masks, but like the fact that you make it mandatory without providing like solid, like rock solid scientific evidence that it's effective. You could say it's not a big deal right now, but that leads to other things being mandatory over like just testing the compliance of people until you get like a totalitarian kind of state, like you mentioned. But it might be effective. I don't know. Am I a doctor? Fuck no. It might be. Like, but the fact that you just like make something mandatory without explaining the reason behind it, and like completely disregard any conversation, any debate, and have this unilateral narrative, I think that's dangerous. You mentioned the nature thing. Sometimes, like, I had an experience recently where I went in a hike, and I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say that. I allegedly took some mushrooms. I'm totally lying right now.
Jail.
This is everything I'm gonna say is.
I'm gonna cut this.
Everything I'm gonna say here is total lie. Never happened. Total fantasy out of my mind. But basically, I took some mushrooms in nature, and I felt like really like this. I don't want to say connection. That's so cliche, but I felt held by a superior being. And you know how when you go on hike, you gotta be like very careful, like where you step and like how you walk, because you could like strain your foot or whatever. And I could like position my foot exactly, like at an exact angle, so it would be in sync with how the ground is going. I'm getting kind of like trippy here, but I felt like held by a superior being. Call it like nature, call it God, call it whatever. And what I want to get into is that like daddy mentality that you mentioned. You have that in nature as well. Nature is not all about like rainbows and butterflies and beauty. Nature can be like really, really brutal, and I felt that it can punish you if you're not careful, if you don't respect nature, if you don't respect your status, like kind of like what's your position in the whole ecosystem. Nature is gonna punish you. It got this tyrannical nature to it, but it also got this very well intentioned, like caring nature to it. Those two sides. And I think that's what like a government should be as well. That's what parents should be. It's like they want the best for you, they want to take care of you, but they should also be able to punish you so you can learn better. And you can like kind of be on a straight path. And it's one of my internal beliefs, like it's that there is something such as a truth or a straight path, the Tao. If you read the Tao Te Ching, that's what it is about. If you look at the symbol of like the yin and the yang, people focus a lot on the black and white, but actually it's what in between. That's the perfect balance. It's that separation.
Yeah.
Because you got like you got the white dot in the black.
Yeah.
That symbolizes that order can turn into chaos.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit of order, chaos, and you got the black dot in the white that says chaos can turn into order. But you want to be in that separation when you just got a little bit of chaos, a little bit of order, and just like this is something I learned from Jordan Peterson. Talks about it a lot, and I think that's something you want to go towards in your life. But then again, what the fuck do I know? That's something I'm trying to do for myself.
Yeah.
And that brings me to my next point, where I'm never ever trying to tell people how they should lead their life. It's your life. Do whatever you want, but it's just like don't try to impose something that you think is the truth in your mind, because I don't think, unless you've been training your whole life, I don't think you'll ever get close to that absolute truth. Everything is just a matter of opinion. If it works for you, great. Like, inspire people. Like, if people see that your life got better by doing some things, they will ask you. They will ask you for advice. They will ask you, like, how did you do this? How did you do that? But don't try to impose how you think, because you think it's the truth to other people.
Yeah.
I'm even like, you know how we talk about McDonald's and fast food and stuff like that, how it's really bad for your health, candies, like sugary stuff. I know you're really big into diet, but I don't think you should ever ban those things. I don't think you should ban cigarettes. I don't think you should ban alcohol.
Yeah.
Let people do whatever they want.
Yeah.
And take the risk that they want, and let them figure out by themselves how they want to adjust those things.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I like your points. Like when you're talking about separation, it's important to have the separation, yin and yang. And like, here's an example. Like, if you talk about God is unconditional love. It's like there's no condition. It's like everything, and it's like. But this is God. We as humans, this is how I see things. We're a separation. We're part of God. We're a separation, and we are God trying to experiment Himself and like trying to. We want to try different things. If we're in this whole like holiness of like unconditional love and just love, we will never be able to experience this human condition that we're into now. And if you didn't have McDonald's, if you didn't have all horrible things and crimes and all of that, you would never be able to experiment love itself. So don't, as you're saying, don't ban like all the crappy food. Otherwise, you would never be able to like know what like healthy food is, or we need it. We need the separation. Like, as an example, like let's say like you're in a relationship with somebody, and imagine if you were not able to love with conditions and like have like a controlling relationship where you're like, let's say if I tell someone you have the choice to love me or not love me, and then you get into I'm trying to wrap my head around this example, but like if we only had unconditional love and someone loved you, you wouldn't feel necessarily their love, because we don't know what not loving is. And the fact that we know that someone can love you and tomorrow he or she will not love you, you know what love is, because you know what love is not. And that's,
everything needs an opposite of polar opposite.
And that's how we experiment life. Otherwise we would be just like, I don't know, like up in the clouds and just like we will not be conscious of what we're living now. And people, like, sometimes people don't realize that, and saying, oh, it's only the holiness, like being good person, that's important. I mean, like, you will never experiment that if we didn't have all the bad shit that's happening, like all the what, like the negative. That we need both.
Yeah, totally. So to go back to your question, talking about breaking out of the matrix, I don't even know what that means anymore. Like, because I've been in my reality for so long. I'm just like, what is the matrix? Is just watching the TV or like reading the news? Is it like just trusting blindly the narrative? Maybe some people still do that, I don't know, but I think there's a major like mental health problem. A lot of people like kind of trusted the common narrative of go to school, get your degree, get a job, save up, buy a house, and just like maybe get married, get some kids, and then just die. Which could be like perfectly fine if that's what you want. But the problem is, I see that I think some people think that's what they want just because they've been told to by their parents or society, and movies and like this whole like marketing structure that covers like the media and the cinema and the music too. Like there's a lot of,
it's the same departments.
Same department. So at what point do you make the difference between something that you want and something that you think you want? Because you've been kind of like we've been hammering those ideas in your head. So if you do if you do the work to differentiate those two, I guess you could call that kind of like breaking out of the matrix. But it's never been like my goal per se. My goal was just to be kind of like closer to the truth. I was gonna say happy, but I don't even know what happiness is anymore, you know? It's just like I think happiness comes from a sense of satisfaction. So I'm not really chasing happiness per se, but more like a sense of satisfaction of making sense of something that doesn't necessarily have any sense. But when you're born into like a society, we've been feeding you what the sense is. But I feel like Kanye West right now, just like going into like a really weird tangent, but I hope that makes sense.
That's what we're here for.
I hope what I'm saying is making sense somehow, but it's just getting like a satisfaction from how I'm leading my life and how I'm interacting with other people and how I'm impacting like their lives, even if it's a very small degree. That's pretty much what's been driving me all those years.
Yeah. Would you consider like freedom of choice as your goal? Like you're saying, like it's not happiness that you want. You're like seeking through it, but I feel like it's important for you too, like to have this freedom.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. There's no doubt about that. There's enough rules and enough structure. There's a system set already by the universe and by nature, and I respond to that. That's pretty much it. All the other things, they're constructs. Like, I think the moment you realize that nobody ever had it figured out, not even your parents, not even your teachers, not even like the fucking president. Some people might know more about certain things than other people. You might have more knowledge, you can have more experience, but nobody knows what like the fucking truth. Nobody knows that.
Is there a truth?
I don't know. I like to think so.
Yeah.
I consider. I like to play with the idea of positive nihilism, which is basically nothing makes sense, nothing has any value, but instead of being depressed about it and being like apathetic, that's you can take that as a blank canvas for you to assign the value that you want to things, and make that and make that like the most important thing in your life, even if it's not important at all.
It's like the Buddha when he went enlightened. And people would run to him, was like, "Oh, you met God. Like, what is he like? Like, what does he say?" Like, and it's like asking all these questions. And every time he would just go silent, people would think that, like this guy is a bullshitter. Like he's never seen God. Like he just went silent because like it's all there is. There's nothing you can say. That's the truth. It's once you're at the truth, like there's nothing more. There's nothing more to say. That's it. Yeah.
So, I'm very careful about like sentences or like phrasings. When I say like stuff like I consider myself as I am a, I like. It's very dangerous to impose qualities to yourself because you're always changing, and I think most people don't realize that they have a choice to change. You can change and become whoever you want. You're like this malleable thing. Yes, you have a set of predefined kind of psychological tendencies, but you have a room to play around and kind of like discover things that you like and you don't like. There's something that's malleable, I feel, in your regarding your personality.
Yeah.
A room to play.
Yeah.
So
I think we're really in the middle of like spirituality, a little bit of
that
personal
got
development,
deep,
but this is great. This is like, I mean, the first thing, like one of the topics that I wanted to talk about, and we're into it. We're like spiritual, personal development. So now, if I were to ask you, you've mentioned Jordan Peterson. Would it be like one of the three people that are influencing you at the moment, like or like just in your personal development journey? Like, what would be the three people that had the most influence on you in the past years? I know Jordan Peterson is a big one for you, but yeah, you can maybe tell me the like three people.
I mean, I don't really have like people. It's not really people influencing me. It's more people planting seeds and igniting some change inside of me. I don't believe in the idea of like having idols or like unconditionally look up to someone and just like drink all his ideas. And that's what I like about Jordan Peterson. He never says this is the absolute truth and you should listen to me, but he ignites something in your mind that pushes you to like do more research on your own. And he got me into the teachings of Carl Jung, so I would say that's pretty influential on me. But I don't know, man. There's so many great people out there. I don't really have a particular influence. I love Joe Rogan. I love his guests. I've been really into Michael Jordan these days.
Okay.
I've been reading his coach's book. His coach is called, I think, Tim Grover. He got a book called Relentless.
Oh, I heard about this.
Yeah, and again, it's not your, because I hate the word personal development. I think a lot of your development comes from kind of destroy, like, you know, the quote from Fight Club, personal development is self-improvement is like masturbation, but self-destruction on the other hand, that's where the real deal is.
Yeah, maybe because like self-development, you're reinforcing what you think you are, rather than just like destroy everything and build.
And that's
build
what
up
I like
again.
so much about psychedelics, is they kind of destroy you to a point where you have no more, like you have nothing to cling on, like not even one single belief. You don't know who you are anymore. You don't know what is, who is,
oh my,
who is Mamoon, who is Amean. You don't know. Like you're like, this is an avatar. This is not, like, what is this earth we're living on? What is society? And it destroys like every single belief that you have. So you start from scratch and you build like new foundations over and over again. And then the next time you take another psychedelic, there you go. You keep on where you left the last one, and there's like new lessons, and you keep destroying and rebuilding and destroying and rebuilding.
Absolutely, that really reminds me, if you're familiar with Sufism, Rumi's poetry. I won't say like code by code like exactly what he says, but there is something that goes along these lines of like he's talking to God and like asking him to like destroy him to know his own truth and to know God, because Rumi knew that that's the way, and there's many mentions of that, of like asking like God to destroy him. That's really interesting.
That's what I really feel I've been doing, like the work that I've been doing, especially this year and this last year. It's been a constant self-destruction and rebuilding.
So self-destruction, you've been talking about psychedelics. I'm sure there's many ways of self-destructing yourself.
I mean,
like how would you like someone like ask you like, I mean, like how do I kill myself? Like I don't like the kill my ego. I don't like this term exactly, but like I prefer self-destruction. But like how would you describe that?
Pick the one thing you fear the most and do it. I think that's one of the most one of the fastest way to grow. I remember when before coming to Canada, I had like this phobia of dogs. I don't know why. I couldn't get near a dog. And if I knew there was a dog in the house, I would literally just like leave, like run away. And when I started doing this work, I just started like fully heads on, just expose myself to like petting dogs, getting near them, even if it was like super hard, like, and I try to be around people who had dogs that loved them, and they just show me, no, it's like, look, the dog is like a human being, like he has emotions, he could be angry, he could be happy, he just want to be loved. Until the day I ended up like myself having a dog.
Yeah.
You know? But I think it's one of the fastest way to grow is take your worst fear and overcome it in a calculated risk. Same thing for heights. I used to have a fear of heights, and until the day I did a fucking zip line at 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. after a party, drunk, which is not smart at all. I was about to
I don't think you were aware of your fears at 5 a.m. drunk.
Oh, trust me, I was. And I was about to puke on the people underneath.
Would have been epic, like vomiting from the zip line.
yeah. But yeah, I mean, there's many ways you can do that. the reason I mentioned psychedelics is because psychedelics don't leave you any choice. If you take it at some point, you just feel the high and you just like keep going up and up. At some point you just like lose control, and there's no more control you have over yourself. It just like sit back and enjoy the show kind of thing. But no, it's definitely not the only way, of course. But yeah, I think that would be the most efficient way. Either overcome your fears, or what I did for many years, consciously or unconsciously, was put myself in very, very bad situations that I had to overcome. I think you've been knowing me for like what, 7 years?
Man, I've seen the whole show, man.
How many jobs have you seen me do? Like like restaurants, clubs, promoting, entrepreneurship, door-to-door salesmanship, programming life, like kind of like everything that exists. Especially the entrepreneur kind of like phase where I got massively in debt. And I don't know if you ever knew that. Like I had like it was nothing drastic, but like a few days where I kind of like homeless and like in between places.
I remember that.
And I would like crash at somebody, but like that person wouldn't be home, so I'd be like stuck in the street. Like some days some nights where I fully like slept in a coffee shop, like stuff like that, like in minus 20 in the winter. So when you go through those kind of situations, I'm not telling you guys to be like fucking homeless, but when you put yourself into those hardships and you go all in again, like it's kind of like a life or death situation, that definitely builds you up. Overcoming those hardships, which I know sounds very like obvious and cliche, but if you can find a way to like make calculated risks, like don't be stupid, obviously stay alive, but on the other hand, don't just like go about your routine every day and just watch your Netflix show at the end of the night all day and there's nothing going on in your life, because that's where your mental health issues arise, because there's not enough chaos in your life. It's too orderly. So you don't want your life to be too chaotic, you don't want your life to be too orderly. You just want to find like the right balance, in my opinion.
What's your biggest fear?
I mean, metaphysically or like on Earth. I can tell you like right now, my latest fear that I discovered, I didn't know I had that. It's just like being upside down.
Being upside down?
Yeah, like when we do like this calisthenic stuff, like being able like to turn around the bar, like the moment my head is just like at like this inverted position, I'm like, fuck, I'm just gonna like leave the bar and like fall on my head, and that's something that I try to overcome.
The fear of falling, maybe?
Not really. I think it's the fear of losing control. It's something I've been working on a lot lately. Is I always wanted to control the outcome of anything I do, and whether it's dealing with COVID or also like my the training that I do with my singing and vocal teacher. She shows me like other ways to kind of project my voice in a way less stressed and way less forced way. Combined with the training we do for calisthenics, where we work a lot with momentum instead of like pushing everything. I don't know, there's like, I see commonalities and I see patterns that are kind of again, I might get too woo here, but it's like kind of like the universe telling me from different angles to work on me giving up on controlling every single thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, there's a way where you give up control and you can achieve more. So that's what I'm working on right now, definitely.
Interesting.
Yeah. Also, I've been a lot into astrology, so.
Oh, wow.
I'm a Capricorn, and apparently a Capricorn's nature is controlling. Like, he want to control everything. He or she want to control a lot of things. They hate losing control over things.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess, I don't know, I guess that would be a fear. Yeah.
That's a big one.
Yeah. What about you? I'm curious about that.
Now I'm being asked questions. I don't know. I wasn't prepared.
I don't prepare either, to be honest.
Yeah. My biggest fear. My biggest one is watching my life just going by, being passive. I think that's my biggest fear, and the reason why I'm sure it's my biggest fear is because I know I'm capable of doing that. I've always been like a chill guy. Like I don't want to impose things. Just like taking it easy. And you know me. Maybe you've seen like some of my transformation lately, where I try to be like more, like impose more my thoughts and my feelings and my emotions and all of that. But I've always been like the nice guy who just like sits and like, oh yeah, chill. You want to take my house? Just take it. You want to do this? I don't mind. And I thought for a long time that it was just being stoic, but I don't think it was the case. It was just being, I don't know. It was just being really passive. Like when you're stoic, you make the decision to be in that state. But I feel like I wasn't consciously owning like my decisions. And yeah, I'm really capable of doing that. So just sitting and just waiting and just wait for the time to pass by. And I'm 80-year-old. I'm like, I've been just watching my life. I haven't participated. I haven't got into trouble and did shit and like got out of it and like have all this fire, you know. Yeah, that's my fear. I've been trying to work on it lately, and I think that what's mostly important is like being aware of it, and I'm conscious of this pattern at least.
Being aware of your blind spot is half the work. It's the biggest half of the biggest part of doing it.
Yeah.
That's why Breaking Bad is my favorite show.
Yeah.
I don't know if you watched it, but
not really. I know the story, but I know.
You're someone in 2020 who didn't watch Breaking Bad.
I think in my entire life I watched like 3 or 4 shows. I never watched, like I actually like, just funny thing, I just like fall asleep after 10 minutes in front of any movie or show or anything. I can't watch.
What I like about this show is it's very Jungian in a way where we've been kind of used to have a lot of movies and shows that want to convey a message, that kind of like activist show, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like, if you want to convey a message, if you want to push an agenda, do it by all means if you want, but don't let me smell it. If I smell it, I'm done. I'm not watching your show, I'm not watching your movie.
Yeah.
But what I really love about Breaking Bad, which for those who didn't watch it, it's a guy in his 50s, who's a high school teacher of chemistry and discovers he has cancer, and he just realizes how short of a time he has left and becomes the biggest drug meth producer of I think the world at some point, because he sells it even in Europe and stuff like that. And yeah, you just like see the progression of typical nice guy who's been passive pretty much his whole life and become this evil, powerful drug lord. And that's what I mean by Jungian, because one of the basic fundamentals of the Jungian teaching is to work on your shadow, on your evil nature, completely embrace it instead of repressing it, and then integrate it into your life, so you have a choice to access it or not. Versus just being a nice guy who's not capable to do any evil, and there's nothing, like, if you're not able to hurt somebody or hurt, like, if you're not capable of doing any kind of evil, there's no virtue in you being a good person, because it's the only thing you can do, and you're just like good and weak, and you can be bullied, basically, if you cannot stand up to a bully. And that reminds me, that brings me back to what I like about the show, is they've never been, at least I didn't smell it, I didn't catch it, but at no point they try to push an agenda. They just took a guy and kind of let the character take its own journey. And they let the character just like go through the whole journey of accessing his evil and becoming changing more and more and more, and like you can see in his decision making and his rationalizations and all that shit. And I watched this show so many times, and every time it hit me at different levels. It's really, really interesting.
Yeah, but I love these movies where you where really go into the mind of the the character, and you're like, and you don't know what's real, what's not, what's true, what's good, what's bad, and you're like.
And sadly, it's becoming more like rarer and rarer, because now we always try to push an agenda. So we try to have the character take decisions that are not necessarily realistic, but because they fit that agenda that we're trying to push to you, then this is gonna be the script of the movie.
Yeah.
So.
And it just reminds me that I think there's a big link between what's happening in movies and what's happening in our lives.
Yeah.
And in a lot of movies, like big Hollywood movies, there's as you're saying, there's the bad guy, the good, the bad, and the good guy is always good, and the bad guy is always bad, and we have this separation as if they don't come together, and we're really into these extremes. But there's some, not all of the movies, but I've seen some movies where you don't know if the person is good or bad. They're just like as fucked up as everyone else, and everyone has the potential of being Hitler or like the baddest of the baddest people in the world, and it can be anyone, and that's what makes
if you're not able to recognize the evil in you and the fact that you could potentially kill someone, don't consider yourself as being a good person.
Yeah, absolutely.
You gotta make peace with that, fully embrace it, integrate it, and use it, and have it like under your control.
Yeah.
And by the way, that's why you have some, like those terrorist attacks, or like those mass shooters, and usually what happens when they ask the neighbors? What happens? Like, they're like, oh, that was the nicest guy ever. I would never expect that from him.
Yeah.
Oh, no shit. He's been repressing those emotions forever, like days and months and years, until he couldn't take it anymore, and then he just like, fuck it, and then just like shoots everybody. But
yeah, that's why like all these taboos things we can't talk about, that makes people sick. Like so many things, like I don't know, pedophilia. Like things happen, like this shit happens. We don't talk, no one talks about it, but you have to talk about it. Yeah.
So that's what got me into like the boxing thing and martial arts a little bit, but also in general, just having access to that evil. That sounds so dramatic when I say evil, but like that dark part of me, I think that played a big role in what you call the transformation, is fully owning it, like not playing someone who I'm not,
Mm-hmm.
Not saying that I was doing that consciously, because I might have, maybe I was thinking that I was like that person. But the fact that you realize that, and also the fact that you deconstruct your personality to a point where you realize there's no such thing as yourself, as you, that's a construct.
Mm-hmm.
I think that gives you room to kind of play a lot with your branding and like experiment a lot with who you want to be, how you want to be perceived by other people, and also like lead your life in a way where it's congruent with everybody around you. Because I don't know if you read some psychological courses, but you don't really have, when you talk about like Amean, and you're like, okay, well, he's like Mamoon, he's into sports, he's a cool guy, you know, he likes nature, he does hike. This is all stuff that you do, but who the fuck really knows who you are at the core? Probably not even yourself. Maybe there's no one at your core. Maybe you're nothing at your core. You're just a collection of like experiences, and then you just like do stuff. You just like a sponge, and then you react to your reality. And I think that's very compatible with the theory that when you study personality, that you're a collection of micro personalities. So, for example, right now we are like two guys sitting like all seriously having a conversation in front of a camera. That's our micro personality. Then you have the micro personality of us training and just be like, yeah, you know. Then I have the personality of me, I don't know, like on a date, and I'd be like, oh, yeah, okay, you know, trying to get laid, whatever. You have the personality of me with my parents, being all respectful, you know. You have a collection like of micro personalities, and you just keep switching. You have your personality of you at work, the way you communicate with your boss or with your colleagues, that is a personality of you that has nothing to do with the personality that you have when you talk to your girlfriend, for example. So we just keep switching personalities. But what is your real personality? Nobody knows. Not even yourself. You're just going through the motion and reacting to your environment.
Yeah.
So, yeah. That coupled with the work on your dark side, plus deconstructing completely every narrative and idea of what society should be and who you should be, all those elements combined, I think allowed me to take control of how people perceive me fully, while having the room of experimenting with myself in my relationship with myself and how I deal with other people. Right. I don't know if that makes sense.
It does. It's a lot of things to think on, to meditate on.
Yeah. Because you follow me on social media, you notice how many times I archive all my posts, and you're just like, whoa, I'm in Instagram, there's no more posts. And then I just come up with like a new feed that has something else. Because I realized, or like people would comment that every 3 months I would look like someone totally different.
Yeah.
I would like either cut my hair, have a long hair, have a new style, change my hair color, whatever. That's just because I completely dissociate who I am at the core with my branding and who I want to be perceived as. Not saying that there's a nuance there. I'm not saying that who I am being perceived as is not me. I'm just saying that it's still me, but it's one facet of who I am, if I am anything at all, because I have all those micro personalities.
Yeah.
Just one side.
Yeah, it's funny that you're mentioning this, like change of looks, for example, like cutting hair, long hair, doing this, and change of like what you do for a living, for example, or anything like that. I felt personally one of my biggest things that helped in my transformation. It's for a long time I used to look exactly the same. I was so addicted to the person that I thought I was. It was really, and even like when you're like an adolescent, or it's an age where like you see your body changing, and you kind of don't, it feels weird, and you want to like attach to something. And I felt like I was a teenager for a long time, where I was like, oh, I can't change, I need to like stay the same. And one of the biggest liberating things that ever happened to me is like changing completely myself. I think you might have noticed it in the last years. I would be like, oh, fuck this, I'm gonna just like shave my head, or I'm gonna do this. I had like a mohawk at a point, and
that's great.
And it feels great, because you, in the beginning, like people are so damn confused because they've never seen you any different.
Then they get used to it.
Yeah, and like the first thing that comes to my mind is my parents, and first time they started to see these changes, and they were freaking out because they were thinking that I was becoming someone else. And it took them a few months to realize that, oh, now he has this, now he changed this, now he's wearing like this, and they were like, oh, he did all these changes, but I can still see my son, or I know who this person is. Now I can do whatever the fuck I want. Like people would know me because they know that I keep changing, but there's something, as you're saying, in my core that's still the same. And it's so liberating. You know that you can get old, you can get an accident, you can lose an arm, a leg, you can a lot of things can happen, but you don't have the anxiety of change, because you know that there's still something inside of you that makes you who you are. And that's
totally. I'll tell you a secret, big secret. It's actually not a secret. You have a brand. Everybody does. Like, try to meditate on that. Everybody, whether you like it or not, you have a brand. The only choice that you have is either you control that brand, or people assign a brand to you. But you have a brand regardless.
Right. Yeah.
That's it. So, which one would you like? Just be like passive and just let people assign any brand that they want to you? Or see yourself as a sculpture. See yourself as a piece of art that you're crafting. And at least that way, you could have like fucking pink. I know some people that have like crazy hair, like pink with like stuff on them, and I think that's fucking dope, you know. And at least they have full control over like how they want to express themselves. That's why I got my tattoos, you know. Like, I love it. I feel like I'm treating my body like a piece of art, and I'm decorating it. And that actually brings me to something I just thought about. People say like, oh yeah, but tattoos are like forever, blah blah blah. There's something very important also, is to realize how you really have to realize and know deeply that life is ephemeral and you're gonna die. And I think most people don't know that. Most people know somehow.
Is that a funeral? You said life is a funeral. That's what I heard.
No, ephemeral.
Okay.
That would have been great.
It's like all life is just a funeral, and you're just waiting for.
I mean, that would be like some great lyrics. Life is just a funeral. But yeah, I think people know conceptually that they're gonna die, but they don't fully realize it. Like they live like as they're immortal or some shit, or like they just try to forget about it. I think we talked about it earlier. All you do during your life, like go to work, have your projects or everything, is just a way for you to forget that you don't know what the fuck you're doing in this life, and that you're gonna die eventually. Great book, by the way. It's called Denial of Death, Ernest Becker. And he talks about this, he plays around with this idea, which is a book, by the way, he wrote on his deathbed. Like, he was literally dying, and there was some guy just like writing as he was talking.
Wow.
So you don't get more like pure than that, I guess, unless someone writes a book from it.
God.
Yeah, pretty much. And he plays around with this idea that everything we do in life is an immortality project. This podcast that you record, this thing that you, like anything you do, like the music that I put out there, is just a way for us. The fact that you have children, they want to have kids, it's just a way for you to be access to like an immortal status even beyond your own death. I think that's interesting, but to go back to my original point, I think we don't fully realize and know that life was there before us and it's gonna go on after us. Like the universe was doing really well before we were born. Like what is 100 years in like billion of years lifespan? So like when you got someone tell me, oh, you know, your tattoos, they are forever. You know how when you put that in perspective, you know how that ridiculous that sounds to me? I'm like, I'm here, I know fully that I'm gonna die. It might be today, it might be in years, but in the meantime, I'm treating my body like I want exactly the way I want it. And that's it. Conversation ends here. You know?
Yeah.
I think like sometimes we take ourselves too seriously and we think we live together. We live forever. And COVID proved that a lot. When you see the paranoia of people like wearing masks outside and like social distancing, like you want to be cautious because you care about like your grandparent that you see every day. Maybe I could understand that to a certain degree.
Yeah.
But if you're just like by yourself or like you're on your own and you don't really see older people, but you're afraid for your life, I'm talking about that context. You're afraid for your life and you think that like social distance and wearing masks all day is a way to live. Yeah, good luck.
Well, fear sells more than love.
Yeah, good luck.
People buy into fear. It's
yeah, it's a weird mix of being afraid to die, but living as if you're never gonna die, and not making peace with the fact that you're gonna die, and that's fine. Like yourself is there anything such as self, whatever that means. You were doing fine before you were born. What year were you born?
92.
Were you like suffering? Do you remember suffering like at 91? Do you remember being like in hell or like fucking burning you? Like, why people are dreading death so much? Whenever you're gonna die, it's gonna be exactly like before you were born. Hopefully, I don't know, maybe, but all I'm saying is we take ourselves way too fucking seriously, and you got this life. You got like you live on fucking great planet. You could have been incarnated as a cockroach that gotta be, or like an ant.
They have fun.
I mean, you could be incarnated as an ant that just like walking casual and just get stepped on by a fucking
I know, that's
Nike
cool.
sneaker, Air Jordan, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the kind of shit I think about sometimes, but yeah.
Yeah, we're lacking spiritual education. People are stuck in some dogmas that might have been like they work for some people, but they don't for everybody, and we don't have this spiritual education and just like sharing these ideas and yeah.
Anyway, on this very like deep talk, spiritual talk, I really need to take a leak, so let's take a break.
Yeah, let's have it. Little break, some tea.
Yeah. Green tea for life. Cheers.
Yeah. Like green tea?
Yeah, I love it. It's tea is my first love. People think it's coffee, but I used to drink like so many kind of teas, like oolong is a big one. Green tea, black tea. Well, kombucha. I don't know if you consider it as a tea, but yeah.
Well, yeah. Technically, there's black. Like most of the time, black tea. Sometimes green.
Yeah, I got this matcha kit, but
oh, that's great.
no, sorry, I got the matcha tea, but I didn't get the kit yet. So it's just like standing there because I'm like, no, there's no way I'm gonna make matcha if I don't have the kit.
Oh, how
like
to make it? Like, do you need? I thought you like just like instant coffee, like you just pour it in your water.
That's that's the getaway to do it. But I want like the complete like ritual to make the matcha tea with the bowl, and like you have like a little brush and you just like this like there's one tea that I'll never try ever is I think it's like some kind of green tea that they mash and they spit on it, like some monks, they just like spit on it.
What?
yeah, this one I'll never probably ever try it.
I've never heard about that.
But yeah.
So, we. Oh, by the way, I was yesterday. I was training at the park. I was listening to Isolated. Your music. It's honestly, it's great. It has this out. The other day I was when we were talking about it, I was just saying like how it like really sticks in my head. I'm like, damn it, like why do I have this?
I did it on purpose. It's
you find the secret sauce. It really sticks.
The secret
sticks
sauce
in my head.
Yeah, it's my evil plan, just to make a song that just sticks in your head. Even if you hate it, you're just like you're gonna like sing it over and over again. It's gonna be stuck.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
How did you get into music?
I don't even know, man. I think it's pure. I want to call that luck, I guess. My dad used to love. I think he still loves music, but when I was like 4 or 5, even before I was born, he tried to pick up the guitar, and he bought this Neil Young. He was a fan of Neil Young, and he had like the vinyl, and he had like a book with all the it's not really music sheets, they call those like tabs, where you just see the number position of like where you're supposed to like press on the guitar. So he tried to learn that, and I think he just gave up at some point because he was busy and whatever. And then the guitar was just there, just alone, and it was my last year of primary school, and I randomly, you know how in school in Morocco, or I think pretty much everywhere, we have like this talent show at the end of the year.
Yeah.
And honestly, I don't remember why. Probably to impress some girl, I don't know. I decided to pick up the guitar and learn one song to perform at the talent show, and I was learning the guitar in secret. My parents didn't know.
Oh wow.
And we went to the talent show, and they thought that I'd just be doing the normal like show that we do with the whole classroom. But then all of a sudden one of the teachers was like, and now Amean is gonna perform a song on his own, and like my parents were like, what the fuck, he doesn't even know how to play guitar, and they see me with like a guitar.
Wow.
And, yeah, they were really surprised, and my dad like started like crying and shit. It was really intense. But yeah, I think it started there at 12 years old. The piano I picked up a little bit earlier than that. I think I was 7. And also my dad. The piano is a little bit funny because we used to live in an apartment building, and our neighbors on top of us had a piano, and they would like practice like Mozart or like Bach, like really really fancy shit. And my dad was just like low-key just jealous, and he was like, they have a piano, I'm gonna get a piano too. Even like and we didn't know how to play, and he never bothered like getting a teacher or something, so he just like a piano like right on the like those straight pianos right on the living room. And yeah, we would just like open it, like mess around with it, and I kind of like learn on my own. But it's only after I got into this particular band, Muse with Matt Bellamy. I used to be a huge fan of Matt Bellamy, and I was like, these guys are just three people, and their sound is so great and grandiose. And this one guy can sing, play the guitar, play the piano, like super well. So I just started learning every new song, and that's kind of how I got into the whole music thing. And it's only like when I was 15 that I started like after connecting with other musicians that had like the same passion and stuff like that. When I was 15, 16, and I was part of like some bands. We were mostly playing covers, and then I got into composition, and that's only then when I first tried to make my own songs, and I got into like the songwriting and production. So yeah, it's kind of how I got into it.
Wow. Yeah. I feel like a lot of people like who do the music, or like who really are into music, they kind of, as you're saying, it just happens by mistake or by chance, or they just like have this piano somewhere and then they play with it, and like it never happens intentionally where like their parents like,
well, or maybe actually I
like,
never know for sure. Obviously there's a big part of kind of like a big part of randomness in it, but I think also there's a core part where it's just like a natural tendency, because when I was even like 1 year old, like my first birthdays, my parents used to we used to have like this, you know, like those toy synthesizers.
Yeah.
And my parents like you would have like a button where you just like plays like a samba or like Cuban music, I don't know, like just to play something, and I would just like mesmerized by the thing, and I was play around with the buttons, and I would just like dance around the little toy synthesizers. So I think there's definitely a part of me that leaned towards the music in general, because I know some people, they don't resonate with music. They would even like, they would listen to something that's cool, but it's not like a big part of their life, like they don't resonate with it that much. Totally respect that, but it just made me think that maybe we have something in our DNA that make us lean towards something more than another thing.
Right. You know, this makes me think of there's a quote by Carl Jung that goes like, our goal is to finish the unfinished work of our parents. Do you think that's the case for you?
Yeah.
I mean, for your
for my dad.
Yeah.
In regards to my dad, I think it might be like, there might be a part of it, definitely. Just this is getting like very like psychoanalytic, like a psychoanalysis kind of like therapy.
Do you love your mom?
But yeah, I never really spent time thinking too much about like that idea crossed my mind multiple times, but I never really took the time to ponder and meditate on it. But there's definitely like a part of it. Yeah, definitely part of it.
Yeah.
And but it's kind of funny because when I first came to Canada, I came in 2013. Yeah. So that was like 7 years ago.
Yeah.
And I completely gave up on music for 4 years. Around like around 4 or 5 years. because I thought that was not who I was anymore. Because I was really into like those rock bands and rock music and pop to a certain extent. But I don't know, man. So much shit happened when I came in Montreal, and all those like jobs, and I think he knew me at a point where I was really involved in the the club and promoting scene. I was going to a lot to clubs, and there was a lot of hip hop music going on there. And I used to like fucking hate hip hop and rap and R&B. I was like, nah, this is not real music, you know?
Yeah.
And the more time I spent in that environment, the more I grew to like this genre. And it's only after 4 years that I kind of decided to go back to music, but from a different angle, without forgetting about like the roots of what I used to know before. But like we said, what we were talking about earlier, it doesn't fucking matter who you think you are, because you can change, and you can like don't get over attached to your taste or to the things that you think you like, because a lot of people think that these kind of things define them, but you're free to change directions. Just follow, if something you like, follow that intuition, follow that feeling. So it was part of a kind of like me reinventing my musical taste and my musical process, and get a little bit of what I used to listen to like years ago mixed with the new stuff that I listen to right now, and try to find a way to combine those two genres. Yeah.
How do you feel like music is affecting your life right now? I know it's hard to like in the music industry, there's the part that is like a job, you know, like as everybody else, like any other job, you're doing the same thing. Like you have to wake up, do your job, and do all the politics and talking and all of that. And then there's the part that it's like more artistic, and that's where you're gonna have more intuition. And like, do you feel this part that is like how do you feel it's affecting you, but like more in terms of the art side of music, not like the part that's like the work that you're doing?
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm making myself clear.
I think I get it. Like so far I've been having phases of pure creativity, not thinking about the business, not thinking about how to please. Heavy wind going on there.
Yeah.
Not to think of how a song would please a lot of people. Because the minute you think of what can I do to please other people, then you gotta make something that's basically crap, in my opinion. So I had a phase where I don't even know if it was by choice. I think it's just like it just happens, man. Like, you know how I told you that I got more into astrology and how us as humans, we kind of part of this like bigger system. And there's like those bigger rules and of the universe kind of like playing out. If we are aware of them, we can like notice them. And I feel like our call it like your mind or your soul or your body kind of like is constantly reacting to, I don't know, like the moon, the planets, how they move. But I can definitely notice a change that's happening beyond my willpower, and I can either embrace it or kind of like wrestle with it. And one of those changes that happen is whether you are more in a creative spot or more in more like down to earth execution spot. And those are like two different places you want to be. I think you can achieve both at the same time, but you definitely have like one that's overcoming the other depending on where you are right now in your spirit.
Mm-hmm.
I know it kind of gets like a little bit woo what I'm saying, but I'm definitely like feeling it with the movements of the planets and everything. I'm like, maybe this is bullshit and maybe it's not, who the fuck knows. But I go through phases and I try to recognize what phase I'm in and try to capitalize on that as much as possible. So when I'm in a creative phase, I just try to create, not overthink it, just like sit down, make beat after beat, just make music and
just have fun.
Not think about the business, not think about like the outcome, just have fun, no stakes, nothing, just fully just embrace the creation process. And then when I feel like I'm in more of an execution mode, I try to embrace that more, and that translates into less creation music-wise, but more thinking of the branding, of the storytelling, working on my skills, like training my instruments, training my voice, which is kind of where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
And the funny thing that happens is whenever I'm in that phase, even when I'm trying to create something, I'm not in that flow. I'm not in the... It literally feels like a train that just passing by, and if you don't catch it, you can try as hard as you can, you're still gonna be stuck. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, okay, I try, make a beat, make music, make something, but it's crap. When I listen to the stuff I made during my creative phase, it was way better. So, I mean, I still try to create something, but I don't force it. I try to recognize, try to listen more to my mind and my body and capitalize on the things that I can't capitalize on in that particular moment or particular like phase. And usually it lasts like 2 months, 3 months, and it's like cycles.
Yeah. Do you think like, so when I listen to the radio, or like I go to like the hit like 50 hit 50 whatever,
yeah.
Do you think that these songs were they out of creation, or is it just like a formula that they're using to get us addicted and listening to this? Is it like, do you think, is there a heart, a soul in this music?
So.
Yeah?
I think so. Yeah. I know exactly what you're referring to, but the more I paid attention to those songs and how they were made, first of all, you need to realize something. 99%, I don't want to say 100, but pretty much, yeah, the majority of the songs that you're gonna find on the top 100, top 10, whatever, it's a collaborative process. Even if you see there's just one artist performing the song, or like, and they say the artist performed and like wrote the lyrics and produced the music, it's never one artist. It's a collection of different artists collaborating with someone providing, yeah, maybe the artist provided like the initial vision of where this is going, but you get like, he might be writing lyrics with some punchlines that he wrote like months or like years ago, combined with a beat that someone made 2 months ago, and that guy who made the beat made it out of a creative spot, but didn't know necessarily how to translate it into a full, well-written song. So yeah, I used to think just because they talk about women or cars or whatever, money, sex, and there's like this beat going on that only have like 4 chords on it, like doesn't seem like very well arranged or like complex. Doesn't mean it's been just mass produced. Because if it was the case, I don't think it would be in the top 10.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I think there's something magical that happens when you make music. How simple it is, how simple it might be written. There's something magical that happens when it resonates with a lot, like millions of people, which makes it possible for that song to be in the top 10.
So, but who really votes for these songs to be in the top 10? Is it people that decide to listen to these songs, or is it that like the artists and like all this industry that's pushing the music forward?
Well,
I guess it's both.
It's both. Yeah, it's like you have what it's supposed to be is the number of streams and number of like single albums sold, but nobody really buys any more singles or albums, so it's mostly like the number of streams. But there's definitely a process to make a song. I don't want to use the word viral, but like to overexpose it, which needs a lot of marketing money. In terms of ads or paying influencers or stuff like that. So there's definitely like tricks and stuff that the big guys do to overexpose a song and kind of create that viral thing. But none of that really matters at the end of the day, because even the songs that were heavily marketed, if they were not good in the first place, they will not survive in like a week or 2 weeks. You can't artificially maintain a hit song. That's not possible, in my opinion. I don't think you can. A hit song, the ultimate test of a hit song is time. So if you're still jamming to a Drake song or like a Weeknd song or whatever to this day, and it's been released like 5 years ago, the song speaks by itself. I don't care. Like maybe the hype. Maybe you use money. Maybe you use strategies to make it viral in the first place. But if the song is good, the song is good.
Yeah,
that's it.
I'm gonna give like a little analogy here. There is this, like in most movies, successful movies, there is what's called like the hero journey. Yeah. Which is a concept that we're not biologically but unconsciously wired to when it comes to stories, like storytelling. From like since humans have been like communicating and writing and speaking, we've always had the same pattern of someone who had a mission, who's been given a mission, and there's the refusal of the mission, and then there's the acceptance, and like God's helping the person, or whatever, the universe is helping the person, and going through all the adventure and coming back to teach whatever tribe and give back to the community. And we are so wired to this. So whenever a story in like Hollywood, like most successful stories in Hollywood, they portray the same pattern. Is there something similar for music?
I mean, yeah, on different levels. Like, I'd say what you're talking about is more related to the artist himself, like, or herself. So, music is, at least now, music is not just about the music itself. It's about like the artist, what's his branding, what does he stand for, what's his backstory, and what kind of like world is he creating, what kind of universe is creating. So yeah, usually you'll find that I'm not saying they fake the stories, but your story might be true, but the way you're gonna tell it, if it fits into that archetype of the hero journey, then people are gonna relate to it more. The whole, take for example, like one of the most famous songs, at least in Canada, but like worldwide, it was a hit. It started from the bottom, now we here. And this is what that's what it's about. Like you were at a certain initial point, you had to like overcome hurdles and build resiliency and go through obstacles, and then you become that stronger person, and now you're there. You have to like kill the dragon in some way, like in the Jungian archetype way, and that gives hope to people. That gives them like something to look up to, and I think it's something that relates more to the artist himself.
That's interesting. Yeah. It's like you see that in a lot of rap songs.
Yeah.
Like it's really about the
50
singer.
Cent.
Yeah.
8 Miles. You watch 8 Miles, Eminem.
Yeah.
That's what it is. He started with like that rap battle where he choked and he couldn't like do anything, and it ends with the rap battle where he just like flowing.
Yeah.
And he capitalizes on all his weaknesses, so he didn't like the last rap battle, he just basically burning himself. He's just like, yeah, I'm this, I'm that, I'm this, I'm that. So, tell me whatever you want. I already told it myself. I already said my story myself. So what are you gonna burn me with? You know?
Yeah, I like it.
And yeah, you see the journey of someone who makes it from literally the bottom to the top.
What's your hero journey?
I don't know, man. I think I'm still in the middle of it. I mean, I can see the amount of shit I've been through mostly since I came to Canada. Because honestly, I'll be honest to God, like, my childhood in Morocco was pretty good. You know? Like, it's stuff that we don't see in the moment. Like, we complain about little things, but the more I grew up and the more I'm like, my parents really did the best that they could to like kind of protect me from all the evil in the world, and kind of like, you know, like they made sure I didn't need of like anything, and put me like through like the best schools and made sure I had an education. Yeah, at some point, like you get into the real life, and then you get like the money struggle, and the winter here doesn't like help either. Like the fucking minus 40, minus 30 degrees. And yeah, once my parent left and they couldn't send me money anymore, and I wasn't sure what I was gonna do with my life. I was kind of lost. Tried all these different things and did like some really minimum salary jobs. Kept quitting, kept being fired. Had all those like ventures that mostly failed. Had like some success, and then like some big failures, some success and big failures, and you don't see the value of that in the moment, but slowly that helps you like grow up every year, and you think about how much just like more resilient you get in life, and how much more shit you can tolerate. I don't think life is about how you can make it easy, just how you can make yourself stronger to deal with more shit. Life doesn't get easier, you get stronger. It's the other way around. So I think I didn't kill the big dragon yet, but I think I killed some, like a good number of baby dragons. Yeah.
And is there a final dragon anyway?
Probably.
Yeah?
Probably, yeah. Not sure exactly which one, but
But I feel like, as you're saying, there's many dragons, and you kill one dragon, you get stronger, and then you kill one's bigger, and then you get stronger, and it's like there's no end.
Yeah, there's no end. Yeah. I mean, I'm still not in the spot where I'd like to be, because I definitely want to get into a position where I'm not only good with myself, meaning like I'm not afraid of hard work. It's never been about like having an easy life or like whatever that is. But I want to get in a position where the work that I do allow me to impact the people around me for the better, and at the same time allows me to be closer to my parents. And I think that's kind of like my biggest dragon right now, is how can I achieve what I want to do in a manner of time like in a time frame that will allow me to just be closer to my parents, who are in Morocco, by the way. There's like a whole ocean between us.
That's interesting. It's the return to the womb. You're
kind of.
Yeah. Well, that's the return of the hero, and then you're coming back, and you're coming to the unknown.
Yeah. Because I know me getting closer to them right now won't allow my growth. My growth has to be somewhere else. But the fact that they're getting older and older, because I came very late, so like they're in their 70s right now. That adds like a little bit of urgency in my journey, kind of. And I try to remain centered and collected and keep my composure, because if you rush, then that's when you fuck everything up. But I think that's the closest thing to a dragon right now. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. I know people don't expect that from me, because I portray like this guy who's very who's just doesn't give a fuck about anything, and just like smoking his joint. Like if you look at my Instagram, or even if you read the lyrics of Isolated, and I'm like, I only want you when I'm isolated, when I'm alone, and stuff like that. But that's just like one part of me. It's what we were talking about earlier. I'm not saying this is not me. It's still me, but it's kind of like the darker version of me. And that's kind of like what I'm trying to do with that I tried to do with Isolated. It came from a conversation that I was having with the girl I was seeing during the first lockdown, and she's like, I feel like you only want me when you're alone. Like don't try to make me think that you're a good person. Just like I know this is going nowhere, this relationship. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. I'm not trying to convince you that I'm a good person. I might very well be a bad person, for that matter. And that kind of gave me the seed and the idea of, you know what, maybe I should make a song about fully embracing my evil side. And that was kind of like therapy in a way, because once you're fully aware of that, you just integrate it and you try to become like someone who can make a better judgment in the future. So my goal is never to hurt people, but like I try my best to have people around me be their most comfortable self, that they won't, like, I try to have them like not to feel judged or anything, and allow them kind of to release that evil side of them as well. But I had to do that for myself first, and yeah, I think that's kind of like how Isolated came to be Isolated.
Mm-hmm. What do you like to? Is there like an ultimate message that you want to convey through your music? Do you feel like you're teaching, or like do you consider yourself as a teacher and then you're using music as a tool?
Nah, fuck that. Fuck that. I'm not teaching shit. I've always been against like music that has like a political or even a spiritual message, for that matter. I don't think music should be a tool for you to teach people. I think that's very pretentious. Honestly, like I said, music was just a therapy for me. It's selfish. It's for myself, but me sharing it, hopefully it resonates with some people, so if they go through the same thing, it's kind of like a support, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And if my music makes you feel a certain way, if it helps you just like whatever, if it helps you like work out, if it helps you like unwind and forget about your day, that's a win for me. I mean, good, great, but never teach people. Everybody's going through their own shit. Everybody's going through their own personal journey.
Yeah.
And all I can do is work on my own, and if you resonate, then like join and let's do this shit together. But I'm no teacher, I'm nothing, you know.
I like that, because when you have like a message you wanna share, or you have an objective, especially when it comes to arts, and not only arts, in many things, many professions. When you like, I have this goal, I want to do this. You're not expressing your deepest person. Like you're not expressing your core, because you're thinking of others. I want them to be able to understand this message or to see this. But like as you're saying, all you're doing is you're expressing yourself, and if it's helping anyone, good for them. If not, I don't mind. I'm just having fun here, and I'm not even sharing, and you're just like you're just expressing.
Exactly.
That's interesting, and I can really relate to this when it comes to my profession. I try to sometimes like share content on like how to be healthy, nutrition, and all of that, and it's tough because you wanna. A lot of people in the industry, they want to share with people what they want to hear, and what's like really important is really expressing what you think is right and what you really are in the inside. But it doesn't happen often, especially when you go to Instagram or you see all this viral posts or anything like that. It's all like following the trend and seeing what people want to hear. You just like feed all of that. And but at the same time, I feel like a lot of people who don't give a shit about what people might think of them, they express a level of intensity that's incredible. There's a lot of examples out there, because I find like there's two people who succeed. There are people who are like, they understand the logic and they understand like how marketing and all the things work, and they make something go viral. And you have other people who just decided to be like as authentic as they could, and some people freak out. They're like, this person is so real. This is like a complex human being that's expressing himself, and they can instantly relate and have a deep connection with whatever artist or I don't know, like politician or anything. Because you're just being true to yourself.
I think you're the first person to notice that in the world of nutrition, nobody knows what the fuck they're talking about. Like even the experts, like we're still discovering new shit every day. And if you're not like nuanced and open to be wrong, then what are you doing? You know? And that's one thing that it's a feedback that I get from From some, you know how I've been like kind of dating here and there, and with COVID, it was especially people that were it was girls that were knew me from my Instagram mainly, and when they meet me in real life, they're like, whoa, you're so different from like the person that you portray on Instagram. You're like more approachable and like nice. I don't know like what that means exactly, but and I can actually have a conversation with you, and I'm like, yeah, like, did you just expect me to be like this one-dimensional character that just posts pictures of himself with a black tank top and smoke weed? No?
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
Yeah, but
yeah,
it's important to like develop multiple facets of your personality, and again, like what we were talking about earlier, once you realize you're nobody really, like you're no one, you're just a being that reacts to the environment constantly and has like those micro personalities that express themselves depending on the situation, but there's no core you. Once you realize that, you're like, all right, so I'm just like this wave that's just going along with my environment, so I can just detach myself from my image, control my image, and just do the work behind it. And it can be a good person, it could be like know my evil side, integrate them, and just try to get closer to that truth, that Tao of the yin and yang, more and more. I guess that kind of sums up like my approach so far. And yeah, nobody knows what is going on. It's, even with diet, I've tried like. I was vegan, like vegetarian, then vegan, then nothing. Like, remember I had a phase where I was just like eating 2 double cheeseburgers a day, or like 2 or 4. I just wanted to like bulk up.
yeah.
I had my keto phase a little bit more recently.
Yeah.
Carnivore, and you know, like right now I try to stay away from those labels more and more, because science is evolving. They're doing like many studies at the same time. Shit is contradictory, and like also like something that bothers me is like people seem to confuse a lot correlation with causation.
Oh, that's I see that all the time. Yeah.
So it's a mix of being open to the fact that you might be wrong, listen to people that did a ton of research, but never take their word for granted, and listen to your body, I think, a lot.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think on that note, what about we take a little break and go back to food and sports?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, cool. Okay, we're speaking of food, huh? Now we're getting hungry, and we're
just magically happened.
Yeah.
Just appeared. A plate sent by the universe.
Yeah, I'm really starving. So
yeah,
we had a little break. We got some grass-fed beef, some sauerkraut, and this is rice pasta.
Nice.
I've been cutting carbs completely for quite a long time, and well, almost a year. I'm reintroducing them, but just like in small portions. I feel like I function
pretty much
better.
The same.
Yeah.
This might be like a really good ASMR stuff. Just like listen to me chewing on that fucking beef.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you remember I was when I was keto for a while, just like eating avocados and tuna, I think, and salmon. But then I had like this weird stuff, like it was called the keto rash. Nobody knows like where it's coming from, and I went from like an extreme diet to like pure disgusting, just fast food, like eating pizza and burgers every day, like all that desire of like eating those carbs went back like tenfold when I stopped the keto diet. And then I switched to the carnivore one, but it seemed to trigger the same kind of keto rash, and I was like, you know what, just gotta learn to listen to your body and, you know, just trial and error.
Yeah, and that reminds me that we were talking about, you were saying like people don't know shit, and we end up in like dogmas, and like this is the best diet, or everyone should be eating like this, and a lot of people don't understand that these dogmas have never functioned for like in our entire history. There's always been like tribes and indigenous people in different parts of the globe that eat completely differently, and they're all extremely healthy. And it's not like there's nothing that works for everybody, and you need to like make sure it's aligned with your genes. And also it's not only like genes, it's also like we are living in cycles, and there's gonna be times where you need to eat a specific type of diet, and like there are times.
Oh I didn't know that.
Well, I personally feel like there are days where I can eat a whole beef because I just need a lot of meat.
Right.
And other days, like I can't tolerate meat. I'm disgusted. Like there are days like give me chicken, I'm like, oh, I don't want to eat it. It's like my body is telling me that I need something like less vital. Like I need to hydrate more, get like more fruits, vegetables, and it fluctuates with the seasons too. Like I feel like summer you need like lighter things and less meat, and winter like you need like more fat and meaty stuff. So and like when you end up in dogmas, it's like, oh, I only need to. I'm like, this is how I am. I'm vegetarian, and I need to be like this my entire life. Well, it doesn't work like this all the time.
The only thing I'm trying to be kind of like dogmatic about, because I'm seeing myself fall into that trap, is mainly like refined sugar. If you follow my stories on Instagram, like I made a joke about that, because I have like this thing with like Reese's peanut butter cup. It's like kind of like my weakness, especially when I'm high, and I'm just like, you know, like when you get high and you get like those munchies, and for some reason, like you get munchies, you don't want to eat a fucking apple or, you know, like a kale salad. You want like either like something really fatty or really sugary. So I mean, I don't see the negative effect right away, because I just like eat a few of them, but it's more like the repetition, and I noticed like the pattern in my brain where it was like, okay, you know what, you can have like a strict diet and you're allowed to eat peanut butter cups only when you're high. But then there's a problem when you're high every day. And at some point it became like I would crave those things even when I'm not high. So I think I'll try to be more dogmatic about sugar, because it's, well, you know that we have like those kind of like candida bacteria in our guts, and that really freaked me out when I learned about that. The fact that you're not the one craving the sugar, they are, and they literally like control your pulsion. I don't know how to say that, like your desire for like sugar, and you're like, what am I deciding for my life anyway? If I'm being like led by those bacteria in my guts, which literally like they call your gut like it's your second brain, because that's what drives you to like have some certain decisions.
I mean, like it's not only for sugar. It's a lot of decisions we make come from our guts. Like that's what you're saying. Like it's the second our second brain.
Yeah.
But I totally agree that, as you're saying, like I don't like to be dogmatic, but there are things that I'm like everyone agrees on. Like if you see like, you know, all these fad diets that appear out of nowhere, like don't eat this, only eat this, only eat that. They all agree on the same thing. If you go like check all the diets that exist today, none of them include processed food and none of them include sugars.
Yeah.
That's
if you stick to that, you're pretty much good.
Yeah, and that's why all of them work. Like a lot of people are like, oh, I just picked up this new diet and it works perfectly for me. But like, because you remove processed foods and sugar, that's it. Yeah. And you would see different results depending on like different diets, but it's like...
Same thing for carnivore diet. Why does it work? I mean, carnivore diet works if you do it right, but I think one of the main reasons it works is because fundamentally it's an elimination diet. It's not necessarily because you just eat meat, because you eliminate a lot of things that used to cause inflammation in your body, whether it's like processed foods, some spices, there's a lot of things that cause inflammation that you'd be surprised that they do. Recently learned that even black pepper causes inflammation, which is like, wow, okay, I'm not gonna go that far into not putting black pepper in my diet, but just that some people are overly like sensitive to those things, so they might need a special diet. But if you're like somewhat in the norm, I think you have a lot of room to play and experiment. Definitely.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. It's kind of that diet though is kind of controversial. Carnivore one.
Yeah. Why did you? So you started carnivore diet 6 months ago?
Yeah. Kind of. Yeah.
So what was your diet before? Like what's your journey in terms of food? Maybe the past years and like the changes you've seen, like depending on what you've been eating. You told me you were vegan, vegetarian at some point, and then it was like just like eating whatever. You're just like trying to bulk and eating everything. Like, so what's your journey, and what are the different aspects you found like in each of these diets?
Well, there was a time in my life I was just like disgusted by meat. I was like, oh, we eat the meat. Like we eat the body of a living being, like we eat a dead carcass. So it's like really like a disgust. So I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do the thing where I'm just gonna eat vegetables and fruits and be like all natural, and also like the whole thing about having the least impact possible on animals. I was just like feeling weak all the time. And never like I was like always hungry, and so that didn't help with keeping up with the diet. And also I got super skinny. Then I switched from vegan to like more kind of like vegetarian, and how do you call it, like pescatarian, like just like eat chicken or something. So that was like kind of like a slippery slope into getting back to the normal diet, like a normal, quote unquote normal. And then I had the phase where I just wanted to like hit the gym and bulk up and everything. I was like, fuck this shit, I'm just gonna eat as much as possible, even though it's like not good for your health, because I don't care about like my health long term. I just care about the short term. And I think that's around the time where we first knew each other. 2 to 4 double cheeseburgers a day, and like those cheap mass gainers that were like loaded in sugar.
I remember these.
That was a very, very brutal phase in my life, and I was like fully disgusted by it. And then I just like, I was eating in restaurants a lot, like Uber Eats, and you know, like eating outside. My excuse was just that I don't have time, and I'm too busy like working on my projects and stuff like that. I don't have time to cook. I don't have time to do groceries. But then I noticed like a lot of problems with my skin, and also a lot of brain fog, a lot of feeling bloated and tired all the time. And that was my main reason to try keto. Keto was never like a diet for me that, like, the main motivation was never like physical. It was more mental. I wanted to get like that extra edge, and it did work. I was fucking like, I was a machine on keto. I could work like 16 to 17 hours a day without even feeling tired at the end of the day. And I used to tell people, like, it didn't necessarily make me smarter, but like it made me not lazy about learning new things, and it made me make connections between different things way faster. The ability to connect the dots was way faster when I was on keto. And keto was basically just me. It was a mix of keto and intermittent fasting. So I was like fasting in the morning. I was just drink coffee with like a lot of MCT oil, and then I just like eat avocados and fish and chicken. Just, I think the limit was 5 grams of carbs a day. It was like very, very strict keto that I was doing. And
how did you evolve into carnivore after?
I wouldn't call that evolve. It's basically
it's not the right word, but like
no. Basically, what happened is the more I felt good mentally, the worse I was feeling physically. Like, I had so much energy mental energy, that I couldn't even sleep at night. My brain was working all the time, whether it's on personal projects or at work or something. And like I said, I would connect the dots super fast. And the more that effect increased, the more my keto rash increased. And I had like this rash like on my chest, and it started like creeping up my neck. So I was like, okay, it was supposed to be a phase, but it lasted like 3 weeks, and I was like, fuck this shit. And I just started eating like a lot of bread, a lot of pizza. Yeah, by the way, for those who don't know, keto is basically just you cutting off all carbs, and eating a lot of fat, like healthy fats, like avocado oil, butter, all that stuff. So yeah, I jumped back to eating carbs, but like heavily, like pizza, bread. I went all out. I was like, because all that frustration of me not eating those was kind of like building up. And then I found the right middle ground where I was eating not too bad. Like, I was eating like rice and chicken and stuff like that, and quinoa a lot. But I was still feeling like I would still feel like that tiredness after eating that kind of meal. So I was like, I don't want to feel tired when I eat a big meal like this, especially like with a lot of carbs. And also at the time I wasn't really working out, so that wasn't really helping. So that pushed me to try the carnivore diet, because I was like, maybe the keto rash is because of eating excess amount of fat, and my liver couldn't handle it. So maybe I could still have the same benefits as keto without eating a lot of fat, by just eating meat. And by the way, like the way the carnivore works is like you eat so much protein that there's something in your body that happens called I think neoglucogenesis, where basically that excess protein gets processed into glucose. So it's basically like eating carbs, except you're not eating
Isn't
carbs.
it fat turning into sugars or carbohydrates?
No. In keto, fat helps you. I'm not sure, but I think in keto, the fat gets turned into ketones, which is an alternative source of energy. But with carnivore, you get your protein, not the fats, your protein gets converted into glucose, so sugar, through neoglucogenesis, which is like a big trap of people trying keto. They don't eat enough fat, they end up eating a lot more protein. So instead of instead of having their energy from ketones, they still get their energy from glucose, just because the protein gets transformed into glucose through neoglucogenesis. So it's like the
I didn't know about the distinction between carnivore and keto. I always thought that neoglucogenesis was part of keto too.
If you don't eat enough fat, that's what's going to happen.
If you don't eat enough fat.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know about this distinction, but I'll look that up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So carnivore happened, but same thing. I had the fucking keto rash on carnivore. So I was like, okay, that might not be related to the fat that I'm taking. It might just be strictly related to the fact that I develop a rash when I don't have enough carbs or something. So I was just what I think was the best shape of my life so far was nearly strict carnivore. I mean, it was like grass-fed beef with just salt and pepper, but I would introduce just one sweet potato, just enough for it like not to trigger my keto rash.
Yeah.
That was like right when I started working out, like around like July or August. But then try eating beef every day with just salt and pepper, you get tired of that. So now I'm trying to find like a better like middle ground. Also, like I eat fish too, so it usually, my day would be like fasting till like 2 p.m. So just like drinking coffee. And then I'm talking about July, August, and then ground beef with sweet potato. Then I get my vitamins, and then in the evening, just a light dinner that would be mainly fish, like salmon or like herring or something like that, to have like the omega-3. So that was like my diet for like 60 days until I was like tired of it.
Now, what is it like now?
Well, the thing is, when I would eat that sweet potato in the middle of the day, I'd still feel the need to take a nap. I would still feel like tired and stuff like that. So now, a good system that I found was, instead of having an actual meal, I still fast till like noon, or like between noon and 2 p.m. Sometimes I fast till like 4 p.m. And instead of having an actual like lunch, I just have eggs, like hard-boiled eggs with like some tuna or like some fish, like something really easy to process. And it's only at the end of the day that I would have an actual like heavy meal, consisting of, again, like, I'm not too strict these days. It's usually like some carbs, like lentils. Lentils is not really carbs, it's mostly like protein, but like I experiment with like lentils, sometimes like some potatoes, and with some kind of meat. So another big trap of not doing the carnivore diet right is that you just eat like ground beef and you just eat like beef, but you get a lot of nutrients from organ meats like liver and heart and stuff like that. So
testicles.
This guy was fucking eating testicles. Like, what the fuck? No, I wouldn't go that far. But yeah, because like, especially like liver, I think is like the most nutritious organ.
Yeah,
meat.
yeah, definitely.
It replaces like it has the same nutrients as spinach, kale, all of those.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize that when you go carnivore or keto or I mean, like, we just don't eat. I mean, like, we just carnivore. You can get as much nutrients and vitamins and everything in organs. It's so rich.
You have to do it right though.
Yeah.
If you just eat like ground beef every day, you're gonna have like
any diets. Like a lot of diets have benefits, but people miss like they miss up like big time. Like a vegetarian, for example, like you can be super healthy being vegetarian, but a lot of people like end up buying fake sausage and burgers and all processed shit, and they miss the point of like the reason why I think it was brought this vegetarian concept is like we were so much in this like processed industry that some people, I mean, it's obviously older than the processed the industrial food era, but it became popular because people were having too much processed food, and they wanted like more nutrient dense foods. But then they end up in the same trap and eating processed vegetarian food, and it's like always the same the same stuff.
Totally agree. My own, and that's just my personal opinion, don't take my words for it, it's opinion and personal experience too. The only problem that I have with vegetables, which is a very unpopular opinion because what we have been told and taught since we're kids, like eat your fucking vegetables. The only problem that I have with that is, well, first of all, there's a thing called oxalates. That's there's some research on that. It's an anti-nutrient, which is believed to be like the defense mechanism of plants. Since they can't move, they can't do anything, so they have like this compound called oxalates in them. That some people, when they take those, it triggers a lot of inflammation in your body. More or less like bad. I think most people don't notice those, so like I'm not using oxalates as an argument not to eat your vegetables. I'm just saying like a lot of people have inflammation from those, but a lot of other people don't have, so it's a kind of like hit or miss. But also more general, like the thing with vegetables and fruits is you get bloated a lot, and it's something that you don't have with carnivore diet.
Oh yeah, that's true.
The bloating and like the fact that you I don't know why the fiber was oversold to be like necessary, but you don't actually need fiber at all. You don't. It's as simple as that. And there's research now proving that you don't need fiber. That plus the fact that you lack majorly in B12 vitamins. But again, you know, if it makes you feel good and it fits your body, it fits your lifestyle, by all means. I'm just I don't like people, whether on the vegan side or the carnivore side or the keto side, that like want to convince that their way is the best way. Just experiment, do what feels good, and that's pretty much it. I know there's like arguments against like impact and like killing animals and stuff like that, but you know what, at the end of the day, I value my own I value my own health. Like if something is gonna make me not perform to my best, I'd rather not have it. It's pretty much as simple as that. And I think it's something that we lost a lot in our modern society, is the fact that we don't see life as sacred as before. But not in a way that, oh, we shouldn't kill animals. It's like we don't kill animals respectfully anymore. It just become like this mass production kind of way. And that's where I kind of agree with vegans in terms of like, you probably saw those vegan documentaries about like how they mass kill those little chickens.
Cowspiracy, I think. The movie,
So I definitely am on board with that, but I just don't think being vegan is the solution.
Absolutely not.
I favor, and by the way, which is it's not an argument against veganism, but you must know that a lot of like what was the number, like 50 million sentient animals are killed to produce like 100 kilograms of plant-based protein, something like that.
You're removing areas where animals can graze and
But then why I'm saying it's not really an argument against veganism, because, well, how do you feed your livestock, like your cows and stuff like that? It's with those same things. So you have to grow your plants to feed your cows and stuff. So, but it's just something to put into perspective when we talk about veganism having a low impact. I don't really buy into that much. I still think a good alternative, but sadly enough it's not accessible to everybody, is hunting, and just like hunting like a wild animal and kind of respectfully killing that animal with the deep sense that this is a transfer of energy, that you using his body to feed yours and your family. And I don't know if you saw the movie Avatar. When they hunt an animal and they do like a whole prayer, and I think that's where the whole like halal thing came
rituals
from.
Rituals are important.
And I mean, like Joe Rogan talks about it. He hunts like an elk. It lasts him like one elk lasts in the woods. So there's no like livestock or anything. It lasts him for like a year, something. That's, for me, that's low impact. You know, not eating your Beyond Meat, buying your Beyond Meat at the supermarket.
Not only like Beyond Meat, like all like like you think that you're eating your avocado or whatever. It's like industrial agriculture, like agriculture in general. We've always thought that like when we talk about agriculture, people think that it's been around like forever. It's so recent in our human history that it's we haven't evolved around agriculture. We have evolved around some vegetables, fruits, some roots around us, and we've always been picking stuff in nature to complement whatever we're eating, whatever, like from our hunting or fishing or whatever. But it's so recent, and and also what we don't realize is that the fruits and vegetables we eat, like let's say like a banana, like it's natural, just like it's normal, we find it's everywhere, but we have engineered and we have made a selective process to only end up with one species of this banana family. There's so many other bananas. That's the sweetest. Actually, one of the most important criteria is like taste and sweetness, and we end up with like fruits that are extremely sweet compared to whatever you're gonna find in nature. If you go to nature, with all the species you find, they're never gonna be as sweet as what we make in our industry, and that's one other thing.
And we don't want the seeds anymore.
This is we remove everything, and no, it's not. Banana is not normal. It's not natural eating a banana. I mean, you might be super lucky, like this one guy in the village who find like a banana that's so sweet, is gonna keep it for himself. But it's not like everybody eat them, and everybody eat like this highly sweetened corn syrup with, like, sugar is not bad. Like, it's just like the amount that we have and the amount that we put in our industry is above like anything that we've ever experienced.
And that's what I tell people when they tell me, no, but just eat a normal diet. Why just eat a balanced diet? Why you try those extreme diet? But the thing is, you have to try something extreme because the normal balanced diet is not balanced at all. We got into like an extreme lifestyle. You know, like our ancestors are not used to eat that amount of sugar in one day. Actually, I think fasting was most common than eating.
So funny how like we want to like compare ourselves to the norm. What is the norm? Like half people have cardiovascular disease, and people are.
It's become normal to have a cold in the winter. It has become normal to have we call it the flu season. There's no such thing as flu season. There's no such thing as having a cold in the winter. There's just a thing called you having a normal diet and having a normal immune system that's too weak to keeping you healthy every like day of the year. You know, and that's I think that brings us back to the thing that I mentioned earlier about just being conscious of how life is not that, like, life is sacred, but it's also like ephemeral, and I feel like we haven't really understood that. The fact that it's okay to have an animal being killed to transfer its energy to you, as yourself, when you're gonna die, you're gonna go back to Earth and feed basically the Earth and the system. And the whole like ecosystem of the thing. But as long as it's done respectfully, I think that's what matters the most. And I know it's kind of like too spiritual or something, but I do believe you get the energy of what you consume. Like everything you can like the same way when I smoke, or can you smoke weed and it gets you high, it's just like that weed gives you like some carries a vibration that you put inside your body.
I totally agree.
Imagine we all like high all the time. You're high on the burger you just ate, you're high on the banana that you ate, you're high on the vegetable. It's just not the same intensity of high, so we don't call it high. But I think we do ingest energies.
We are made of what we eat, and you eat a sad cow, you carry this energy. Like animals, like people don't realize how much torture there is in the animal industry, and you carry all this sadness, this torture, this like you get it with you, and that's why like it's important to be aware of what you're eating. Also, when it comes to fruits and vegetables, like the conditions are, you get everything.
Yeah.
You are made of food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about supplements? Do you like supplement with anything?
Yeah, that's a good question, and I get conflicts with a lot of people. I know that some people are like really dogmatic about supplements, and if we need them, and you can't function, like you can't find the perfect edge without supplement. But I think it's bullshit. Honestly, I like, my opinion is that supplements, if you need supplements, you're supplementing something that's missing. Like you need supplements because your diet is not complete, and that you don't have enough nutrients, that you need to get a drug, even though it's not a drug, but it's here to complement something that's not complete. And I don't think we need them at all if we're eating a complete diet. I would recommend them maybe for vegetarians if they're missing B12 or other
B-complex in general.
Maybe for some people, like people that are like maybe like extremely deficient in one or other vitamin, although you can like correct your diet and you'll be able to get all your nutrients from a natural way. But there's one thing we should all be aware of. A lot of vitamins that look like healthy, like vitamin C or vitamin whatever, they are made from, they're like bioengineered from like corn, wheat, and other like it's so industrial that they just try to copy what's in nature, and they're not as well absorbed as if you just
natural stuff.
As if you just get the natural stuff. So maybe you can get something from vitamins, like omega-3, for example. Like supplements are like so little the amount of omega-3 or vitamin D like you can get from supplements compared to if you get it from
salmon or
So I think we should be aware about this and ask ourselves, like, why are we, like, if you end up in a situation where you're thinking, should I be eating this or that supplement, maybe it's a good time for you to reconsider and see like what's wrong with your diet, because
I mean, you saw my cupboard, you saw the amount of supplements that I have. But I'll be quite honest, for me it's just to save time, because yes, I want to eat healthy, but I don't want to like overthink it too much. So for me it's kind of just, I guess it's my own form of wearing a mask, you know? It makes me feel good about myself, makes me feel safe. So I'm like, okay, maybe even if my meals were not completely healthy today, at least I got all my vitamins.
Placebo is real too. It makes
placebo,
I'm like I think placebo is here, and you see it everywhere, and
Have you heard of this thing called epigenetics? Or you can like, well, from what I understood, you can change the expression of some genes that were like dormant just by your thoughts and your emotions. And that would explain why some people, when they get depressed, develop like some forms of cancers, and like, or the opposite way they can like trigger remission of cancer, just like by changing their outlook on life.
Yeah, there's the placebo and the nocebo, which is the opposite, and it's as as valid as the other one.
Yeah, I read about that like recently, and I find it kind of fascinating.
Yeah,
but
yeah, that's interesting. Do you know about cancer patients that that see a faster growth of cancer after they're told their diagnosis?
Oh, yeah, shit.
And
that's interesting.
Yeah, that makes really sense. So what they can do is like they can oh, something is going on there. So what they can do is like they can test them and see if they have cancer, and then they see the evolution of the growth, and once they tell them, oh, you have cancer, and then they see how fast it grows, because it's mental, it's we have so much effect on it.
Crazy.
Yeah,
there's a lot of things we don't know. That's what I keep telling people, like, stop imposing your belief system into other people. We're still all figuring out. And also that's why with this whole like COVID shit, I mean, sure, I read a little bit, I exposed myself to some quantity of media, but then I saw it was like mostly fear mongering, and I just like exclusively just read research papers, and even that, like,
everything is biased.
Yeah, even that you find some kind of form of bias, but it's better than nothing. It's better than having like the random politician or journalist telling you have to wear a mask when having sex because you might catch COVID.
Yeah, you choose your reality, and you choose your dogma, and that's why the freedom of choice is important. It's because you even if you get into shit, you know that you decided it for yourself, and you carry the consequences.
So to freedom of choice.
I was thinking, what about we move into more the body and body consciousness, and I know you've done a lot of work on yourself, not just spiritually, like not just self-development, but you've been working out, and it shows. So what's your what's your, like, a little bit like your journey of your philosophy when it comes to training, what you've done before and what you're doing now? What does it look like?
I mean, I started when in 2013 or 2014, I would go to the gym, and I think you remember that, and I was always like half-assed, and I would start a program, and after like 2 months I would give up on it, go back to the smoking, the drinking, the partying. And the motivation was always like external, like it came from a place of seeking validation from other people, and that was never really sustainable for me. And I think what happened is, just since last July with the whole like lockdown or something, the whole lockdown and the general like boredom that came from that lockdown, I think it was really that. It was the boredom and the fact that we're not going to work anymore, and just start with like you and another friend, and we try to do some stuff at the park, and it became this like weird addiction where I just felt, and I still feel to this day, I still consider myself as like a baby who discovering his body, and like how
that's great,
you know, like I'm like, oh, your body can do that. Oh, I have a muscle here, I didn't know that existed, you know. And you're just like learning how to move, and there's no more the appearance of the body is not that big of a motivation anymore. I mean, it still is. I'd be a hypocrite to not say I'm not seeking validation from other people anymore. But let's just say it's not like the main thing now. It's really like it became this weird addiction of learning my body more and what it can do over time, and how to. I was gonna say how to control it, but like what I'm doing now is like more of how to let go of control. And it's in the sense like it's you're becoming someone else. Like you're killing your old self to become someone else. Like you're killing the person who in his mind is not able to, I don't know, do a pull-up or do a handstand, and you become that new person who knows how to do it. It's like you build like new, like, what do you call it, like a neural connections, like in your brain, like there's new connections that forms. I'm not that educated on that matter to find like the proper term, but it literally like becomes like,
when it comes to movement, it's proprioception. Like you learn your, it's like your awareness to your body and to your environment and things you did not know how to do before. Now you're like it's empowering,
and it's a very the word is really addictive. Like I want more every time. That's kind of what happened. I mean, you saw me this week. I was pretty much every day at the park trying to master like the muscle up, and it's really becomes a mental addiction that you want to train even when you're sore and you know that you have to let your body rest, but you still want to do it, you know. And I think what really triggered that addiction was first the environment, like all the people that we have around us that we met, like those fucking monster beasts that can do fucking backflips on top of a bar and just fly like Superman. But the thing that I really enjoyed was the competition that we went to, like those people doing freestyles on the bars, and that kind of gave me a lane, gave me like a purpose, like somewhere where I could see myself in 2 years or 3 years. Something to work towards to, instead of just like hitting the gym and just like do reps and just like watch your body grows. Because that wasn't really a strong motivation for me in the first place. But doing those cool tricks with the bar and like flowing and moving, I was like, shit, I want to do that. So I think that's very important in terms of like sticking with something. Motivation and discipline, I think they're very like overrated. I think it really comes down to having a proper environment and a lane, like an outcome, like something where you see yourself, something that you see yourself achieving in 2 years or 3 years.
Yeah, and there's also something I would like to add that I've seen like really effective lately. So for those who don't know, like we've been working out together during the lockdown, during summer, and with a bunch of other people. And there was something I realized that I didn't know before, is that we were training as a group, and our training was not like, let's meet at 5, we're gonna train for an hour, and we're gonna do this, and like we have this structure, and that's it, we're done by.
I mean, it used to be that, and then it quickly like
it evolved. It evolved really quickly, and now what it became more of a training as a lifestyle. So we are just like we're just doing it in our everyday's life without even realizing we're training. So sometimes like we would go to the park, we're gonna stay there for like 3-4 hours and just like train for like maybe 20 minutes and then talk and like crack a joke and do this and come back.
Stay there for like hours.
And you don't realize time's goes by, and like you're having fun and you're moving and you're jumping, and someone challenges another person, and that was like eye-opening for me, because for me like training was for a long time as it wasn't a core because I enjoy training, but it's like it needs structure. I need to do this, and when I'm done, I'm done. And a lot of people do that. Like they go to the gym, they do it for an hour, they go back home, they eat whatever crap, and they just like lay on the couch. But they don't integrate these training concepts in their everyday life. I know a lot of people like they challenge themselves. Let's say I'm gonna like try to enhance my posture and like try to like sit correctly, or I'm gonna like work on my laptop standing, or like squatting, or do all these things. And sometimes like I think about it, like if I drop a pen, I think of the deadlift motion, because I know that's the best way not to injure my back. And that's, you see way more results when it's like your life is, it's like you're training for your life. You're not training just to do your hour or 30 minutes, whatever.
Integration. I think that's the key word here.
Yeah.
Integrate everything.
Yeah. Do you feel like I mean, like you've seen like this concept too, like lately, like training with us, and
yeah, well, that has been my goal for like this past 2 years, definitely more this year. It's integrate everything into like something, a well integrated life, that where anything that you do feeds into the other thing. So there's no, like, whether it's your work or your passion or your physical activity, everything kind of like feeds into each other. And the missing key that I figured out this year is that you shouldn't try to do that on your own. It's the environment that dictates that.
Yeah.
Instead of like trying to trick yourself and like motivate yourself, or like get into that discipline mode, try to switch up the environment and everything's falling into place. When you switch up the environment, things get easier, and your standards evolve as well.
Yeah.
And when I say environment, it's the people, the way you live, how you live, like everything. Everything is meshed together. Like your surroundings, everything matters.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's pretty much how I can sum up the fitness journey that I started.
That's great.
Yeah.
Looks like you're on a good path, and I've honestly like really see good change, like a big evolution in many areas. You're getting there, man.
Thank you, man.
I think that's a wrap. We went through some.
That was.
We went to the deep cave.
Yeah. That was a good conversation. I really appreciate it.
Man.
Yeah.
Plus,
and I think I'm the first one. No.
Yeah.
First
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. We're getting started here.
Yeah.
You're opening.
What an honor. What an honor.
I couldn't think of anyone else to open this podcast. You're a great friend of mine, and such an inspiration. So I'm happy to have you here.
Man. That's cool. Thank you.
Yeah. I think to close this podcast, I'm going to ask you 3 questions.
All right. Go
Ready?
ahead. Yeah.
Okay. First, what's your best mistake you've ever made?
Well, so far it's just me making mistake after mistake. I don't know, man. It would be probably my first time taking mushrooms and not doing any research before that.
Oh, yeah.
Just taking the strongest strain, which is something that I discovered after taking it.
Yeah.
Or the strongest strain, and just like taking a random amount of dosage.
God.
I think that would be my best mistake. Glad I'm alive, but yeah.
I won't ask you more about it. Let people just imagine what it sounds like. So if there's one thing you would like people to remember you for when you die, so I know you mentioned like having kids, like projects, everything that we do is to make us immortal. So what's like one thing you would like to be remembered for? What's on your it's gonna be written on the stone?
Who cares, man? Like I said, like even 1,000 years, well, it's nothing in billions of years. The sun is gonna explode. So I mean, I'd like to inspire people after my death, sure, for like what, few generations. Like we still hear about people like, I don't know, like Galileo or like Mozart, which is great, but I don't know. I'd say I'd like I'd like people to just not be afraid of trying out things.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you stay alive, don't be afraid, take risks and try different things. I think that's what I'd like them to remember.
That's great advice.
Yeah. Try as many things as you can.
Yeah. And I mean, last question. What are you grateful for today?
I mean, what am I not grateful for? I'm alive. I have great people, great weather. You know, I'm more and more grateful for that every day. Just like every day that I wake. I know it sounds cliche and super cheesy, but especially with this COVID shit and like all this shit is happening. Just like every day I wake up, I'm like, yeah, we get to play the game a little bit longer.
Yeah.
That's it. You know.
Yeah, it's a privilege to.
Yeah.
We chose to be here, and yeah, it's a privilege to be a human and experience what a human is. So.
Yeah. I mean, I take life less and less seriously, but at the same time more seriously. It's a weird mix where I take it less seriously, but I have more respect for it.
Yeah.
That's like the best way I can articulate it somehow.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
Man, last thing, if people want to know more about like your music, where can we go?
Yeah, well, as you may know, like the platform I'm most active on is Instagram. So it's just like Amean official, Amean AMEAN. I think you probably post something.
Yeah, I'll post about it. Yeah.
And and Spotify. I have one single for the moment, but like more is gonna come, 2021 most likely.
That's it. That's it. Man,
That's
that was great. I loved it.
Always a pleasure, man.
Yeah. Take care, buddy.
That was good. All right.